Welcome to the Core Principles of Theming for Magento 2 course. This course contains 3 units, each consisting of several modules. In Unit 1, we will cover Getting Started, Overview of Theming, Folder Structure, Static Files, and the deployment and fallback processes. This is an extensive, challenging course that presents essential concepts you need to learn about Magento 2 over a series of comprehensive units. Be sure to give yourself enough time to go through the material at your own pace. This course is appropriate for developers who are experienced with launching and extending the Magento 1 platform. For this course, the following skills are required: CSS and CSS3, HTML and HTML5, XML, the basics of PHP, and you must be comfortable with the use of the command line. To enhance your understanding of this course, the following skills are strongly recommended but not required: responsive web design, LESS, and JavaScript. The depth of the content may prove challenging to new developers who have no familiarity with the Magento product. This course covers the fundamentals of Magento's templating system and how Magento themes work. You will learn about all of the components of a theme, especially layouts, page templates, and block templates. You'll also learn how to customize both the look and feel and the functionality of a website at the theme level. This course is one important piece, but not the only required piece, in helping you to develop your expertise using the Magento 2 platform. You will also need to work extensively with the product to build your skills. Be sure to do all the exercises presented in the course, as these are key learning opportunities and provide practical hands-on experience with the native Magento 2.0 installation. The course notes present the narration in written form, while the slide highlights key concepts. Find the most effective way to use both to match your learning style. For example, you may want to read the slide first for a general grasp of the topic, then play the audio as you follow along with the full notes to fill in the details. Remember, you can play each slide as many times as needed to comprehend the material. To navigate, click Menu in the upper right corner of this window. To view the notes, click the Notes tab. There are a few useful things to know about Magento before we dive in. In this module, we present Magento configuration settings and introduce best practices. Let's start by discussing configuration settings. Configuration in Magento sets the default behavior of the site and modules. Most config settings can be overridden. Best practice. The optimal settings for development in Magento are different from those of a production environment. However, all work should be tested using production settings before deployment takes place. In the cache area, you want to watch out for config, layouts, blocks_HTML, and full page cache. You can turn on the developer mode using the .htaccess file. Set environment mage_mode developer, php_flag display_errors to 1. Depending on the complexity of content that will need to be entered into the content area, CMS blocks, CMS pages, and category and product descriptions, the what you see is what you get editor does have limitations that need to be kept in mind. Use these admin settings for evaluation and development phases. You can refer back to this slide later. You'll want to change these settings for production. This section introduces what Magento's themes are and what they control in Magento implementations. We'll also look at what that translates to specifically in the file system and in the admin. In this module, we will discuss components, role of themes, and the file system. Here's a quick review. Components of a typical Magento installation: back office integrations, database server, Web server environment, which presents the front end, the storefront, and the back end, the admin panel. The possibility to serve multiple storefronts from one Magento instance or catalog and one admin interface. Note, any perception of complexity in Magento's theming structure should be balanced against the functional benefit that the system provides. Through Magento's theming engine, the front-end developer has the option of discretely sharing or customizing design elements across multiple storefronts. Themes are designed to override or customize view layer resources provided initially by modules or libraries. Themes are implemented by different vendors, front-end developers, and are intended to be distributed as additional packages for a Magento system similar to other components. The components of a typical Magento installation we've already discussed. A theme is a component of a Magento application that provides a consistent look and feel for the entire application area, for example, the storefront or Magento admin, using a combination of fonts, custom templates, layout styles, or images. Remember that the theming system is a larger part of the whole of the framework. Themes are designed to override or customize view layer resources which are provided initially by modules or libraries. Themes are implemented by different vendors, front-end developers, and are intended to be distributed as additional packages for the Magento system, similar to other components. In Magento, themes govern presentation in two ways: non-information, non-input via web, including CSS, images, and visual-specific JS. The present, format, and position of output via layout XML, block classes, and templates. In Magento, themes control the visual aspects of the site design and many functional aspects of the site, which blocks and modules are available for view, which data is shown, and how. This allows the presentation layer to be independent of the business logic and functionality. Let's take a look at the underlying file system. Magento has two general types of XML, config and layout. The app etc. folder contains config XML, and layout XML is located under a theme. If you do not see the htaccess file in your web root, you must show hidden files. Although the hotkeys for doing this depend upon context, it's generally Command, Shift, period. You will want to study this slide later. These are just a few of the changes you'll see between Magento 1 and Magento 2. Some of the other changes we'll discuss in other units of this course include that Magento 2 now uses the less CSS preprocessor, which enables easier and faster code changes and maintenance, and the Magento UI library, which simplifies the process of Magento theme creation and customization. The reason behind the changes in Magento 2 are to update the technology, improve performance, improve ease of upgrades, simplify external integrations, provide better modularity, and allow better organization. As a developer, you no longer need to worry about changing the core files. Everything in a theme is in the theme folder or the folder of the parent theme. We'll discuss parent themes at length later. This slide introduces the concept that asset types are distinct from themes. Configuration, layout, template, and I18N files are only some of the files used in templates. Web files include the static files, images, CSS, etc., and files such as less files that create output files. In Magento 2, the entire theme is in one directory, while in Magento 1, the theme files were stored in two directories, Skin and Apps Design. Magento 2 allows you to override and extend files as needed to make customizations, rather than duplicate a large number of files and modify them. Everything in a theme is in the vendor theme folder. Note that there are many web folders, one for the theme itself and many for the override directories. The file composer.json is optional and will exist only if the theme is in a composer package. All Magento storefront themes are located under Apps, Design, Frontend, Vendor. All the theme files are organized in type-specific directories, for example, templates and templates, underneath a folder with the same name as the theme taken from the configuration. Themes can inherit from a parent theme. You don't need to duplicate the inherited information. For example, the etc. folder is mandatory when the theme has no parent. It contains a view XML file that configures the storefront picture sizes. If the theme has a parent, this file can be inherited from the parent and is not required to exist in the child theme. The theme XML file is the file used by Magento to recognize the theme. It contains the basic information about a theme, including the theme name and the parent theme name. We'll take a closer look at its contents later when we discuss theme creation. The registration PHP file is the file used by Magento to declare the theme as a system component. We'll take a closer look at its contents later when we discuss theme creation. Magento 2 allows you to optionally use Composer to provide theme dependency information. If you're providing your theme as a Composer package, you'll use this file. To learn more, see the topic about Composer integration in the developer documentation. Using Composer to provide theme dependency information is an optional step. To learn more about the requirements for Composer.json, see the topic about Composer integration in the developer guide. You will want to become familiar with this structure so you know where to find specific types of files. Magento theming is more than front-end. There are other design areas besides front-end, which, although they're not covered in this course, still use the same theming engine. For example, the admin theme can be customized for clients using the knowledge you will gain from this course. Base is used for both Adminhtml and frontend as a common fallback. Files missing in either Adminhtml or frontend will be taken from Base. See the topic about layouts to learn more about Base. Let's talk about configuration. We'll learn how the external structure of a store, the file system, and the admin will relate to each other. In this module, we'll discuss store hierarchy, how the admin file system relate, and then we'll do an exercise. Once you understand how stores and themes work together, you can understand how to create themes appropriate to your store structure. The main point to understand from this slide is the different configuration scope objects and their relationship to each other. To apply a theme, go to Stores, Configuration, Design. In the Scope drop-down field, select the store view where you want to apply the theme. On the Design Theme tab, select your newly created theme in the Design Theme drop-down list. Click Save Config to see your changes. Review. To apply a theme, go to Stores, Configuration, Design. In the Scope drop-down field, select the store view where you want to apply the theme. On the Design Theme tab, select your newly created theme in the Design Theme drop-down list. Click Save Config. To see your changes applied, reload the storefront pages. Store's configuration is where many options affecting functionality and storefront display are set. In the Store View drop-down field, select your website. On the Design Theme tab, select your theme. Values saved here are stored in the Core Config Data table. We will explain more about these fields later in the course. We'll also cover fallback and theme hierarchy later. Review the information on the slide to make sure that you understand the relationship between the config settings and the file system. Clarifying this relationship now will help you understand more complex concepts later, such as fallback and multi-store. Follow the on-screen instructions to complete this exercise. If you can't find the files we've been discussing, review the earlier portions of this course before you continue. Now, we'll discuss inheritance. In this module, we'll learn about inheritance in the provided themes, setting up for multiple brands, and best practices. The fallback system is used for template, web files, and XML files. Layout XML is subject to melding. The process for layout XML is different because Magento would rather merge files than override by a fallback. Static files also use a type of fallback, but only when you compile the pub directory with the command line tool. So during runtime, it's never looking for static files. A parent and child theme can belong to different vendors. For example, your custom theme can inherit from the Magento blank theme. The blank theme is a basic for custom theme creation. When you inherit from the blank theme, there's no need to copy all of its files. You need only to override those files that require changes, as is done in the Luma theme. The Luma theme is a demonstration theme which inherits from the blank theme. If a view file is not found in the current theme, the system searches in the ancestor themes, module view files, or library. Directory search order depends on whether the module context is known. Themes can inherit from the blank or Luma theme or from new themes that you create. Depending on your needs, one theme can inherit from the other. Even when you have only one design for multiple brands, you'll still end up with multiple themes. Only the concept of theme XML's parent configuration might be different. This slide presents one instance being used for two websites with several shared user interface elements. The fallback model in Magento allows for theming to work to obey the principle of DRY, don't repeat yourself. Each will have its own theme but use parent themes and extensions and overrides to handle the differences. Other examples include international retailers with similarly branded stores but slight differences between countries, many retailers with outlet stores that are similar but less flashy than the main store. If designs share many visual and functional components, such as some or all shared, look and feel, some or all share front store functionality, then create a base theme and have other themes inherit from it and use overrides as needed. You will learn more about why this is important. To customize content defined in the parent theme, module view, or library files, override it by adding a file with the same name and the relevant location according to the fallback schemes. Following these best practices ensures the easiest possible upgrade path. Never directly edit files provided by third parties, especially those from the core team. Copy specific files to a custom theme and make your changes there. Changes to externally provided files will be overwritten in an upgrade. Upgrades in Magento affect theming in two ways. Upgrades of Magento core and third-party modules simply replace all existing files from the core with their new versions. Because of this, these files should never be modified because they will be overwritten. The blank and Luma themes are under Magento as the vendor in the file structure to indicate that their files shouldn't be overwritten. Also, app, design, frontend, Magento, vendor should not be used for placing new themes. Upgrades require letting updated functionality and new elements be presented. Populating custom themes with only those files that are being customized provides the following advantages. It eases the upgrade process by allowing changes to automatically come through when the core or third-party files are overwritten, and enables easy identification of the files that have been customized, drastically simplifying the process of merging external updates to the customized versions. Let's look at creating themes. In this module, we will discuss recommended approaches to creating themes and best practices. We recommend the following approach. Create a vendor directory for your themes. Create a custom theme within that directory. Declare a parent theme using theme.xml and create registration.php. Make new directories in that custom theme folder for static and dynamic files. Looking at the diagram, what is the fallback order for my_theme? And how do the concepts from the previous slides apply to the setup on this slide? Remember, files not present in the specific theme will be pulled from another theme lower in the fallback hierarchy. A custom theme could conceivably contain only a few files: theme.xml, registration.php, and a single web asset file. Here's an example of a custom theme.xml file. Use this slide as a comprehension check of the relevant concepts presented so far. And here's an example of registration.php. Use this slide as a comprehension check of the relevant concepts presented thus far. Follow the on-screen instructions to complete this exercise. And here's the solution. This theme will be used for the remainder of the exercises. Study these best practices and make sure you understand these concepts before going on. This slide is a good reference when setting up a new theme. Your new theme can be a standalone theme, or it can inherit from the default or any other existing theme. After you add your theme to the file system, you can apply it to your store. You apply a theme in the admin panel. If caching is enabled in your Magento admin panel, you must clear the cache to see the changes applied. You might also need to manually delete all the published static files in pub static frontend. When the Magento system cache is enabled, you must clear it each time to see your design changes reflected on the storefront. To avoid this, disable certain system cache types while you make design changes. To do this, in the admin panel, go to System Tools Cache Management. Select Layouts, Block HTML Output, View Files Fallback, View Files Preprocessing, and Page Cache Types. In Actions, select Disable and click Submit. The selected cache types now show a red bar in the status area that reads Disabled. Now, let's look at the different file types. In this module, you'll learn about static versus dynamic theme files and where to find them. Files that are used by the browser to render a page are considered static. Files that are used by the application to generate the HTML are considered dynamic. The static view files deployment command allows you to write static files to the Magento file system when the Magento software is set for production mode. Static view files are located in your Magento install directory, pub, static directory, and some are cached in the your Magento install directory, var, view_preprocess directory as well. Static view files. These are a set of theme files that are returned by the server to a browser as is without any processing. They're called the static files of a theme. These include fonts, images, and CSS content. Dynamic view files are view files that are processed or executed by the server in order to provide a result to the client. Those are the dynamic files. They include less files, templates, and layouts. The key differences between static versus dynamic or that the static files appear on a web page as a reference to the files, whereas the other theme files take part in the page generation but are not explicitly referenced on a web page as files. Public static files. The public static view files can be accessed by a direct link from the storefront are referred to as the public theme files. These public static files are published to the pub static frontend, vendor, theme, language directory, and its subdirectories. CSS. Style sheets in a Magento theme should contain relative paths. JS. There are two general locations for JavaScript files in a Magento file system. The /JS files are for custom and third-party JavaScript libraries or scripts. JS scripts that are theme-specific belong in theme JavaScript directories, especially those that use DOM selectors. Refer to op_checkout.js. Images. Theme-related images should be stored in the theme, especially the following. Images referenced relatively in the CSS and JavaScript files. Images that contain text that may need translating. All files must be explicitly added for the necessary links and tags to be rendered. They're not added automatically simply by just existing. Sass and less are CSS authoring techniques and technologies that are not covered in detail in this class. Participants planning to use these types of files will need to refer to examples online. Let's look at deploying files. In this module, we will discuss deployment modes, mode options, static asset deployment, and best practices. Website deployment is moving a website from a local environment to live servers. There are tools that can make the process easier and faster. Static view files deployment is affected by Magento modes as shown here. You must write static view files to the Magento file system manually using the commands discussed in this module. After that, you can restrict permissions to limit your vulnerabilities and to prevent accidental or malicious overwriting of the files. Magento has 3 modes it uses for development and production. Each mode is optimized for its purpose. Default mode. Although you can run Magento in default mode in production, it's not recommended. Default mode is not optimized for a production environment, primarily because of the adverse performance impact of static files being cached rather than materialized. In other words, creating static files and caching them has a greater performance impact than generating them using the static files creation tool. Developer mode. This mode has the slowest performance. Developer mode provides more logging and exceptions are captured and shown to assist the developer while the site is being developed. No performance optimization is done. To set the developer mode, you'll need to define an Apache environment variable such as setenv mage_mode developer. This can be set via the Apache host configuration or .htaccess files. You can also use the command line bin mage magento deploy mode set. To make sure Magento runs in developer mode, turn off Magento caching, PHP bin Magento cache disable, and flush all Magento caches. PHP bin Magento cache flush. Production mode. You should run the Magento software in production mode when it's deployed to a production server. After optimizing the server environment, database, web server, and so on, you should run the static view files deployment tool to write static view files to the Magento pub static directory. This improves performance because static files don't go through the fallback mechanism. The static view files deployment command allows you to write static files to the Magento file system when the Magento software is set for production mode. Static view files are located in the Your Magento install directory. Production mode. You should run the Magento software in production mode when it's deployed to a production server. After optimizing the server environment, database, web server, and so on, you should run the static view files deployment tool to write static view files to the Magento pub static directory. This improves performance because static files don't go through the fallback mechanism. Instead, URLs for static files are created as needed. The static view files deployment command allows you to write static files to the Magento file system when the Magento software is set for production mode. Static view files are located in the Your Magento install directory, pub static directory, and some are cached in the Your Magento install directory, var view underscore preprocess directory. Setting production mode. Set envi mage underscore mode production can be set via Apache host configuration or htaccess files. Static view files are not materialized in production mode, so it's necessary to have them in the Magento installation. Static asset deployment. To deploy static files, do one of the following. Open an SSH connection to your server and access Magento's command line interface and use the command bin magento setup static content deploy. If you have no SSH access, you can run the deployment locally and upload the generated files in your Magento install directory, public static directory via FTP. You can restrict permissions to limit your vulnerabilities and to prevent accidental or malicious overwriting of files. Keep these best practices in mind throughout the course. After finishing this module, you should know about components, the role of themes, file system, star hierarchy, how the admin file system relate, inheritance and the provided themes, setting up for multiple brands, best practices, recommended approach to creating themes, what are static files, static versus dynamic theme files, and where to find them. We've covered a lot of ground in this unit. To continue, go to Unit 2.